Welcome everybody, it's Darlene here, and it's Shop Talk Live. We're going to be talking about cardiovascular. It's February, it's still Heart Month, and we need to do some justice to this topic. The amount of people. Hello, Helen. Hello, Denise. Welcome. The numbers of people that are facing cardiovascular disease, although it's not getting the press that it was getting 17, 18, 19 years ago, it is pretty amazing. Welcome, Denise Burgess from Toronto, and Helen Knutson. Helen, where are you from? Why don't you just share here where you're from as we wait for a few more people to arrive? So last week, ladies and gentlemen, I did a video. I started doing a video, and I started talking about cardio essentials, and I started giving testimonials. Talking about the people that I'd worked with, as far as using the cardio essentials and the cellular essentials, and the dramatic results that we had using those products. So welcome Shireen and Diane and Joan Wilkinson. Welcome everybody. And so I was so disappointed with the video that I did last week, and so ticked off I actually deleted it. I thought that's awful. So I asked each and everybody for some patience so that I can give the cellular essentials and the cardio essentials some real justice, because the magic about Unicity's products is absolutely they work for exactly what they were designed for, and the research. But there's so many, hi Diane, there's so many other benefits that come along for using them, and sometimes we tend to use these products for crisis management, and that's not exactly fair either. I find, or I've tried to teach over the years, that it's much less costly to you in so many ways, whether it's stress on the family, whether it's stress on your body, the cost of being ill and unable to work. And you can just go on and on and on what it costs you if you get to the point of crisis. But the beauty about these products with Unicity is that you can use them for prevention as much as you can use them for crisis management and post-crisis maintenance. So, heart disease is so prevalent that, believe it or not, every 36 seconds, somebody in North America dies from a cardiovascular event. And so every 36 seconds, it's an incredible statistic. Like 2 people every single minute of every single day of every single week of every single month of the year are dying from cardiovascular disease. And so that's an epidemic by anybody's definition. And it's an epidemic that is largely preventable. More than 70% of these events can absolutely be prevented. And so when I'm talking about these products tonight, I want you to think about using them as far as prevention. Hey Doug, so glad to have you back home and here again. Doug Collins joined us. He had a little what would you call, his son graduated from military boot camp last week, so he had a little vacation around going to see his son graduate, and we're all so really proud of him. And Doug comes from the Maritimes, and Nick, he's just down the road here, and he's about 90 minutes from me right now, not more than 90 minutes, so he's really close. So when I'm talking about these products, I would like you to think about them in terms of what they can do to prevent the heart disease, prevent the crisis. You know, uh, we are seeing people younger and younger ages, you know, with cardiac problems, with high cholesterols. We're seeing children with blood lipids out of balance. Now, cholesterol isn't all the bad guy that everybody thinks it is. Having your blood lipids out of balance, that's the bad guy. What they don't understand, the really bad guy, is the carbohydrates, which creates the triglycerides, and the only thing the body knows what to do with triglycerides is to store it as fat and create inflammation. So that's going to be the one that's giving us the problem. So let's start with one of my favorite products, which is Cardio Essentials. And Cardio Essentials is a favorite for me because if you did listen in last week, or you've listened to me talk about Cardio Essentials at any other time, you know that I've had such tremendous success using this and truly reversing people's health conditions and saving lives. And so the Cardio Essentials, interestingly enough, was researched in Toronto at St. Mike's Hospital by Dr. Gigi Boy, who actually presented it back in 2001 in Atlanta, Georgia, to the American Cardiologists Association. And that product went on to become our product. It was researched by our science partner, and so it became our product. It's in the PDR in the US, and it is patented, and it is an incredible product. So what does Cardio Essentials work on? Well, you know, it's a formula that is exclusive to us. You cannot get it anywhere else. So keep that in mind. Many products, many heart products contain CoQ10, and this product contains the CoQ10 in the effective daily dose. So the amount of CoQ10, the kind of CoQ10 that's in here, is the CoQ10 that research has been done on. So Cardio Essentials is good for heart failure. It's good for cardiomyopathy. That's when the heart gets large and sloppy. It's good for people who have had a heart attack, to help repair it. It's also good to keep the heart strong, and it keeps it young and vital. And Cardio Essentials, I want you to think about it and I'll talk about it today. And next week, I'm going to talk about Cellular Essentials. So today we're talking about the pump itself. So the heart is your pump. So the rest of your vascular system is what I call your pipes. So we're just talking about what it does to the pump. And so, you know, one of the conditions that happens to your heart is the cardiomyopathy, and that's when the heart enlarges and becomes weak and becomes sloppy. So if you're looking at, I don't know if you can see my hand. Let me get my hand here. Here's my hand. Where's my hand? Okay, here's my hand. So when your heart beats, it goes like this and snaps back real quick. And when you get cardiomyopathy, the heart enlarges and it goes like this and goes like this, and it enlarges, and the beat gets weaker, and you know, the blood pressure goes down. You tend to get dizzy. You tend to get lightheaded, and the heart literally begins to fail. And cardiomyopathy, you know, one of the things that they can do for you is, if you're young enough and vital enough, you may actually be a candidate for a heart transplant. So that might be, you know, one of your options there. I say prevent it and use the Cardio Essentials. Now, let me explain something. When I say use it for prevention, I like, I'm going to talk about Max here. So I like to do a cardiac routine on Max every year. And so we will do cardio essentials and cellular essentials, and we'll talk about cellular essentials, and we'll do a 6-month routine at, every, so we'll do it for 6 months, and then we won't do it for 9 months, and then we'll do it for 6 months, and then we won't do it for 9 months. So for 20 years, this is the routine that we do. So we clean the pipes and we strengthen the pump. And along with strengthening the pump, the Cardio Essentials is going to help you rebuild and maintain strong, lean tissue all through the body. The reason why the Cardio Essentials works so well on your heart is because it works at creating and sustaining lean body tissue. So it doesn't just work on the heart, it works anywhere where there's lean body tissue. It also is really good for helping you maximize your BMI. So when you're building lean body tissue, you're also losing that fatty tissue. So you're changing your fat to lean tissue ratio using Cardio Essentials. And it gives you energy like unbelievable. So in the Cardio Essentials, the CoQ10 is one of the components. The next component that's in there is a product called L-taurine. And L-taurine is there for your pump. Remember, we're working on your pump. So it is going to help. It's an amino acid, L-taurine, and it will help sustain the rhythm of your heart. So as you develop congestive heart failure or cardiomyopathy, the rhythms of your heart tend to go out, and you have this irregular rhythms. L-taurine will help sustain that really strong regular rhythm, especially when it's combined with the next product called hawthorn. And hawthorn is an herb, and here we have a product with L-taurine, which is an amino acid. We haven't covered our L-carnitine yet, but we're going to. It contains our CoQ10 and amino acids. And then here it is, one of those old favorites of a hawthorn, which is truly an herb, and it's been around since the beginning of time. It was used in Europe for centuries for health heart. And in the laboratories, the studies show that the hawthorn contains the active compounds with antioxidant properties that really do a lot of free radical scavenging around the heart, removing any damaging compounds in the body that may alter those cells around your heart and in your heart. And it also, believe it or not, is one of those herbs that will protect your DNA and your genetics, okay, your genomes around your heart. And that's quite exciting when you think about this new genome research, that here we have an herb that's been around for thousands of years, being used for centuries for cardio health in Europe, and it's right in line with what we're trying to do here. The next, one of the things I like to use Cardio Essentials with is that people, for instance, that have a hard time maintaining oxygen levels in their blood. The CoQ10 that's in there, one of the things that CoQ10 does for you is it helps to oxygenate the body. And so when you start putting all these components together, it really gives you a lot of energy because it takes more oxygen to your extremities and through your body, and it gets there more efficiently because the heart very quickly responds and starts to function more efficiently. So the component that's really responsible here is for strengthening the heart is this component. It's an amino acid. It's called L-carnitine. Now, the first time I ever ran into L-carnitine was about 25 or 25 years ago. And I started to read about L-carnitine, and it's really an interesting amino acid. It was actually, it was studied at UBC, which is the University of British Columbia, in 1961. It was used by the Russian athletes for the Olympics during the 60s. And it was considered to be the defining supplement for that Russian team at the time, because it increased the stamina, it increased the lean body tissue, it helped regulate the cardiovascular, okay, kept the heart strong, while these, athletes are really putting their bodies under a lot of extreme. And, truly, if you're a runner, a marathoner, an extreme sport enthusiast of any kind, I tell you to be using Cardio Essentials. And I'll tell you a little testimonial just at the end of this about how I use Cardio Essentials, and I know for a fact what it does to your body. But beyond using it as prevention or maintenance. But the L-carnitine also helps you to regulate your body thermostat. You don't feel the heat of the summer so much, so you don't get fatigued with when it gets really hot. And when you combine Cardio Essentials with something like matcha, for instance, which is hydrating you and antioxidants, you should not be uncomfortable in the heat at all. In summer, heat used to drive me crazy, to distraction. And when I use the Cardio Essentials with my matcha in the summer, I do not complain about the heat. It's true. So it is going to, let me tell you about L-carnitine. It's primarily is used for the heart. The clinical trials show that the L-carnitine can be used along with any conventional treatment for angina, for any of the cardiovascular. It can be used in conjunction with anything that they are currently taking. So they don't have to come off their drugs to use Cardio Essentials and benefit from it. Your kidneys could produce L-carnitine, and so when people are diagnosed with kidney disease, for instance, and I've had that question recently, what can you do to help them? And Cardio Essentials is definitely one of those products that you can use with kidney disease. Also, people that are diabetics can, and I talked about Marilyn Messerschmidt last week and her retinopathy and her inability to walk from the diabetes, because she had the peripheral neuropathy. And she went on the Cardio Essentials, and it was the Cardio Essentials that would be one of the main things that helped her walk again. And she still needs to take it I don't know that she takes it every single day, but she could benefit from it if she was, simply because she has the ongoing type 2 diabetes, okay? It also is as I said, it's a great supplement for people who are extreme exercisers, if they're runners, they're marathoners, whatever, to use the Cardio Essentials. So if you're doing anything strenuous and you need more energy, and Burma Hicks would tell you this is the truth, because I told her about it and she did it and it was amazing. But I was out west doing a health show, years ago, decade ago. And we were driving from Calgary back as far as Winnipeg, and we worked all day at the show, and then we loaded up the car and we started off, and we only had a few short hours, maybe 4 hours sleep, and we started to drive across the prairie. So driving from Calgary to Winnipeg would be the equivalent of driving from Park City to Chicago, okay? And we were tired. And I was driving in this little car that was so packed, and I'm taller, I got long legs, and the gal's car was a little Subaru Impreza, and it was packed to the doors, and her seat, she was short, like, I mean, she's not 5 feet tall. Her seat was pushed forward, and so she was driving, and there was no way that I could drive a car with that small leg room. And she started to get dozy in driving. And I said to her, stop the car right now. Get out of the car. We opened up the back of the car into my suitcase, and we got out the cardio essentials, and we got out the power generation. And I said, grab some water. And so I gave her 6 of the cardio essentials, and I gave her 4 power generations, and I took it myself the same, and drank a bottle of water, and just did a couple of walks around the car to get that blood working and get that, because the cardio essentials and the power generation, you respond very, very quickly. Just to get a couple of rounds around the car, because she was cold. It was in the wintertime or early spring. It was snow and cold out there. And she woke up, and she didn't have a problem staying awake for the rest of the drive, which was across Saskatchewan. It was across 3 provinces. It was incredible. She couldn't believe it. Burma has used it on long road trips. Remember, she and I used to be road warriors here years ago, doing meetings from coast to coast, and from province to province, and from state to state. Incredible. So that's the story about the cardio essentials. The note is out there on the page. I shared it last week. It's had, this gives me the count. I don't know if you can see it or not. Only 221 people have read that note. And it's only ever been shared 54 times. And let me tell you something. Medically, what this product does for you, medically, they can't do for you. They don't have a drug that can do for you what this product can do. Here's the story about it being launched. Rick Deutsch was the director of research at the time that this was being launched. And he had a friend that worked at the FDA, something like that. And he phoned his friend up, because these people that are doing the research are PhDs, and they have friends in high places, trust me. So Rick happened to be our head researcher. And he called up his friend at the FDA, and he asked them, he said to them, so if you had congestive heart failure or cardiomyopathy, do you have any drug on the market right now that can improve the condition? Improve the condition. And the answer was no. Now, this is in 2001. And the answer was no. And he said, okay. He said, how much improvement would a drug need to make to be a viable drug for congestive heart failure or cardiomyopathy? What would be the degree of improvement it would need to make on that patient's heart for it to be viable? And the doctor on the other end of the phone, if I remember correctly, said 1 or 2%. And that is how tough it is to make a difference on this kind of condition. And Rick asked him how big of a market would that be for a 2% improvement? And he said $1 billion. There's that many people suffering from it. And he said, what if I told you I had a product, an all-natural product, that in research, in double-blind placebo studies, 60 days, showed a 33% improvement. His friend on the other end of the line said that would be impossible. There's no such thing. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the possibility. We can only promise a 33% improvement. That is what it's in the PDR for. I have seen 80% improvement. I've seen hearts restored to 85 and 90% functioning. If you're 60 years old, you probably lost more function than that. It's incredible. And that is how many reads, that is how many shares. This is not the first time I've talked about this product. This is not the first time I've told these stories. But now you have it on a video, and you can share that. And this product is so important. I even have the references, 2002, Gigi Boy, nutritional supplementation, okay? What does it take for us to be the champion of our products? What does it take for us to share these products that are life-changing, life-saving? How do we, tell me, what can I do to help you? Tell me, what is it that we're not doing? You can't make any claims that you can't prove. You got this in the PDR. Take it to the PDR. Take this note. Research. It's got all of the references on it. Save somebody's life. Save somebody's life. After all, every 36 seconds, somebody's lost their life to cardiovascular disease. And it's growing. And the ages of it happening is younger and younger and younger. And cardiovascular disease is considered the silent disease. You don't feel it coming on. You really don't. You're up and you're down. And more than 50% of women's first sign that they have cardiovascular disease is death. Because people don't take them serious. And they give them antidepressants and things like that. This is the truth. They call them hysterical, and I've seen them as I've taken a young woman in her 30s to the hospital because I said, you need to be checked out to make sure that you're not having a heart attack. And they treat them at emergency like you're hysterical. And I looked at the doctor and I said, don't hand me this. People of all ages are suffering. Check this person out. That's why they're there. So that's my story on my cardio essentials. Use it as a preventive. Do it for 90 days and then don't do it for 6 months and do it for 90 days. I don't care, but use it for prevention. Your body needs these amino acids. Your body needs this CoQ10, and it does store stuff in your cells. But you're going to feel so good on that product that you're not going to want to stop. And the reason why you stop is this, and this is what I want to explain. Unicity has so many incredible products. And you say, where does it stop? Like, where do I stop? if I took everything that Darlene says is absolutely phenomenal, or Burma says is absolutely phenomenal, or even Dr. Dan Gubler is saying, you need to take this. You took everything, it'd be $1,500 a person or $2,000 for a household, taking all these products. What do you do? How do you get around it? Well, I say that there are some fundamental products that have to be there. And I say that, your complete, your meal replacement, because you're not going to get protein like that in bioavailable. I say that Bio7, and we're going to be talking about that in 2 weeks. We need the BIOS products. And I say that we need Bone Fortify. There is no doubt about that, and we need Resolve, okay? And everything else becomes desired. And the rest of it, like cardiovascular, so you do, you do 90 days of cleansing, and then you use the Clear Start, and then you can do 90 days of cardiovascular care, and you can do 90 days of something, and design your nutritional supplementation by filling in the gaps every year in certain areas in a period of time that's long enough for you to benefit. Doing it for 30 days is not going to be good enough. It needs to be done a minimum of 90 days. Nothing changes permanently in the body for 90 days. So that's what you need to look at. The first time that you do a cardiovascular routine, and you'll have it all figured out by the end of this month, the first time you do it for 6 months. Then take the time off and then do it 90 days. Do it that way. So that you really lock in and make some permanent changes in your cardiovascular health. And that's how I recommend it. So I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that clarifies some things, that maybe answers some of your questions. Tell you how to work that routine so that you can get that benefit. Wow, I am so impressed with everybody that is here and all your comments. You guys have been absolutely great tonight, and I want to thank each and every one of you for coming. I'm also going to extend, I'm going to talk just briefly here for a couple of minutes with you. We're gathering together some people who want to work together permanently. We're going to have some shifts and some changes with Unicity coming up soon. And I think it's better that we're all together and in a team and work together as partners. So I have On the Lighter Side, and you're all welcome to join me on the lighter side. Everybody can come in there. I'm doing really I think I'm getting to do some cool things in there right now, and some teaching. And I would really enjoy anybody who wants to join me. There is a challenge beginning on March 4th. And here's how the challenges work, okay? Yes, On the Lighter Side is a group. There's many different teams in there. There's Doug Collins is in there, and there's Shonda Cormier in there, and there is, there's Daisy Raimondo in there. There's Sharina Hussein. There's a gal from Sharina from down in Texas. So everybody's welcome, okay? There's no barriers there. And you can bring, if you only have 2 or 3 people you want to take through a challenge, then come. You register them under you, the coach, and bring them into On the Lighter Side. And listen, it's a gentle way for them to get exposed to the organization of people. I've said in the past that both Burma and I spent 4 and 5 days on the road every single week for years, sharing the message of what's going on with Enrich in those days. I spoke in big rooms. I spoke in basements of churches. I spoke in people's living rooms. There was no barriers or boundaries that us as women were going to lay down so that we couldn't reach people. It just doesn't work today in this society. That's a quarter of a century ago. We got a new world. In On the Lighter Side becomes your meeting every single day. Whether you participate fully or partially, let me tell you, there is information, new information there every single day. The only prerequisite of coming to On the Lighter Side is that you use and appreciate Unicity products, a Unicity product, but that you use and appreciate it so that you understand where we're coming from and what we're talking about. And you know, I have there's a gal in there from she lives in Spain. She's German, lived in Britain and lives in Spain now, is retired in Spain. She's in their part of On the Lighter Side. So it is truly a global community committed to being champions. We are looking for the champions of this world, people that will champion health and wellness and longevity and anti-aging, and above all, champion people and family and friendships and helping other people make a difference in their lives. And that's what we're looking for. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not a member of On the Lighter Side, just type it in, On the Lighter Side. You'll see it. And then just click that you want to join, and I'll see it, or Doug will see it. Somebody will see it, and you'll get in. And you know what? Stay in. It's forever. And you know, it's turning into my nightly meeting, and there's something being taught in there every single day. And we are going to be talking about, and I make no apologies for it, we're going to be talking about the business in there. Because you know what? If we don't have the business, we don't change lives. And last story that I tell before I go tonight. And I'm going to tell it about my first mentor in Enrich. And his name was Ken Pontius. And Ken Pontius died in 1999, probably of a glioblastoma. And he died of a very rare brain tumor at that time. He was diagnosed with it in March, and he was gone in September. Truly, probably a glioblastoma. But from the moment I met him, he just kind of took to me for whatever reason. The first time I met him was in Toronto. It was at the Howard Johnson Hotel on Keele and the 401, and it was a big room. There was about 900 people in the room. And it was my first big meeting for Enrich. So that would have been in, I don't know, maybe May 1993 or something like that. And he and I just clicked. We just clicked. And he always made me feel special. And so I was always invited to everything. And I wasn't special. I was a manager when I got there. I wasn't, you know, anything special. I was just an ordinary person who he liked. And so he came the following year, he came, and we were having a big meeting. And after the meeting, we went out into the hallway. Everybody was breaking for lunch. And there was a woman that met him in the hallway. And he was taking me to lunch. He wanted to talk to me. And so we got stopped in the hallway. And Pat was her name. I know exactly who she is, but Pat was her name. She came from London. And she said to Ken, you know, I came here this morning. I drove from London, which is an hour and a half. And I came here to learn about the products, because I want to make a difference in people's lives. And for this whole morning, I've sat there and listened to you talk about business. And she said, I sure as heck hope that we're going to learn about products this afternoon. And Ken looked at her and he said, so what's your name? And she said her name, Pat, and her last name. And he said, and how long have you been with Enrich? And she said how long she'd been with Enrich. She'd been with Enrich for a year. And he said, and how many people, what's your rank? And she said, I remember distinctly at the time, she said she was a supervisor. And he said, and how many people do you have in your team? And she said to him, 50. And he said to her, you're doing a great job. You're doing a really great job. And congratulations, because you've helped those people's lives. But let me tell you something, Pat, he said. We know statistically that one single person will tell approximately 5 people about Enrich. So you didn't only help those 50 people, you probably helped 250 people because they're talking to 5 people. And he said, but I got to tell you, I have over 800,000 people in my organization. And if the statistics ring true, then each one of those people have helped 5 other people. And the only reason that I have that many people in my organization is because I do talk about the business and I do share how you do this as a business, as a messenger, big or small, you get to choose. But it's the business that drives the word. And so I got 800 and some odd thousand people in my organization, and you take that and times that by 5. And remember, Pat, if I never talked about the business, you would not be here. Because Ken was the master distributor. And I always remember that. And so I'm beginning to share a little more about the business. Yes, the products are absolutely fundamentally important here, and we have the best products on the market. But we also have to start to think about how many people we've missed over the last few years because we haven't been expanding. And so that's my closing story tonight. Been a little bit longer than I intended to keep you. Some will hear the story to the end and some won't. What would you tell them in the comments below? Listen to the story at the end? Anyway, thank you everybody for showing up and coming here tonight. I truly, truly love all of you, and thank you for coming. And I'll see you next Wednesday, and we're going to talk about cellular essentials. We're going to talk about the pipes. Thank you. Good night.